So, you've made it live through the Seeker and the Who, and hopefully with a successful 1v1 as well. Welcome to the clusterfuck that is the fight against the Queen's personal guard. Before engaging them, each healer should be assigned an orb for phase 3, as well as 2 pairs of tanks assigned to north and south orbs. If this doesn't mean anything to you, odds are I forgot to do and slash or post the diagrams. Feel free to absolutely humiliate me into logging off and playing Minecraft if I have. Lost actions wise, all healers should slot in Lost Steel Sting or Lost Spellforge before pulling, and apply one of those buffs to every member in the party. I'll explain why later, but all physical based classes should have Lost Spellforge applied on pull, and conversely, Lost Steel Sting should be applied to magical jobs. But what about hybrid jobs? Apply the one buff most opposite to their damage type. So Spellforge on Ninja, Bard, Dark Knight, Paladin, and Reaper, and Steel Sting on Red Mage. Try to make sure as much of the duration remains when bosses are pulled. The second thing will be for 1 or 2 tanks from parties D, E, and F to slot in Lost Dispel. With that out of the way, onto the actual fight. We'll start like normal mode by damaging all 4 of them together, with 2 waves of right-wide damage in there. Once some time has passed, or all 4 of them have been damaged enough, we'll transition into phase 1. Like normal mode, we'll fight all 4 bosses in sequence. However, here we'll do so in pairs. The first pair is the knight and the warrior, and the second pair the soldier and the gunner. You might guess what's next. Their mechanics will be upgraded versions of their normal mode mechanics, but overlapping with their partners, which makes for quite interesting combos. Let's go over all of this. First, the knight and warrior will spawn. Parties A, B, and C will focus on the knight, with the tank assigned to it, pulling it in the center of the room. Parties D, E, and F will focus on the warrior, which will be pulled to the east edge of the room. This is because all bosses need to be tanked apart, otherwise they tether together, becoming highly resistant to damage and gaining an extreme damage buff, making their raid-wide damage lethal. As for minor mechanics, we'll first look at their color tether. Twice through the phase, first time shortly after engaging them, the knight and warrior will tether together with a yellow or purple indicator. Yellow means they'll gain immunity to physical damage, and purple to magical damage. If you guess that's when Spellforge and Steel Sting come into play, you are right. Yellow tether means magical damage dealers should have no buff on them, and physical damage dealers should have Spellforge, vice versa for purple tether. This way we have healers apply a buff on everyone at the start. It takes way less time for people that need to drop that buff to click it off, rather than for healers to apply the correct buff to everyone one by one. We'll call either click off purple or click off yellow, depending. But basically, if you have a buff of the same color as the current tether, right click it. Control players can set up a macro for that, slash status off lost spellforge, line break, slash status off lost steel sting. The other minor mechanic is the warrior's boost, where he applies a big damage boost to himself. This can and should be dispelled after the cast by whoever has lost the spell. Now, on to the actual major mechanics. The first combo is upgraded normal mode bombs, warrior's mechanic, and the exploding orb, a new mechanic for the knight. Let's look at bombs first. Like normal mode, bombs will appear throughout the arena, big and small ones. The warrior might tether the bombs to reverse their mass, then lift you and them up, and dropping all of you according to gravity. Everything's first, light things last. Here's the catch though. The warrior might also tether you, making you heavy. While this is going on, the knight is casting either sword or shield omen, determining his next attack pattern. Then he'll disappear, leaving behind a big glowing orb in the center of the room. Said orb will explode when hit by the knight, who will appear along the edge of the arena. The knight will dash across the arena, going through the orb, and two things can happen. If he casted Sword Omen, the orb will explode on the spot, leaving only the outer edge of the room safe. If he casted Shield Omen, he will knock back every player a short distance from the center, as well as displacing the orb with him before its explosion. This means that the safe zone is a croissant shape centered where the boss started his dash. Do not stand directly in his path though, as this will deal high damage. Sounds scary. However, the resolution is simple. First, we look for the knight's cast. If it's sword, you can already move to the edges of the arena. If it's shield, you can already prepare for a light knockback from the center. Then we look if bombs are tethered by the warrior, and you will all individually have to look if you are tethered as well to the warrior. If both are, or if both are not, you will go to a big bomb, as no forces are reversed. If only bombs are tethered, or only you are, you will have to go to a small one. The order of resolution is orb, then bombs, so position yourself either to the edge or prepare for the knockback, then locate a suitably sized bomb and stand on it. Little subtlety here. If you were tethered, you will fall first and you'll want to avoid the bomb over you falling on you, so move to the center of a previous explosion to be safe. Next, combo. New mechanic for the warrior this time. He will start by tethering players at random, then create 4 circles, either on cardinal or intercardinal points of the arena, 2 green or wind areas, and 2 purple or lightning areas. Tethered players will need to run to a wind part, and non-tethered players to a lightning one. Be careful though, there will be overlapping parts to those lightning and winds. Avoid them. After resolving this, the knight in the center will begin casting his normal mode mechanic. If it's Sword Omen, we'll need to be far from him, and if it's Shield, we'll need to be close. He will, however, also do a 270 degrees cleave in a random direction, so we'll start by running to him, no matter shield or sword, then move in or out in a safe cardinal. Resume damaging your respective bosses afterwards. Both combos will happen twice before enraging. If you manage to kill both of them before that, it's on to phase 2. Beware, however, and this is true for both pairs of bosses, they need to be killed at roughly the same time, or the remaining one will enrage by itself. Like phase 1, both bosses will drop down and will assign parties A, B, and C to the soldier, which will be tanked west, and parties D, E, and F to the gunner, which will be tanked in the center. No tethers here, so healers can already slot in Reflect in place of Spellforge and Steel Sting. We'll go straight to the first combo of mechanics here. Reminiscent of his normal mode exploding clones, here come instead the fire frogs. The soldier will create 4 balls of fire on intercardinal points of the room. 2 will be big and 2 will be small. After a few seconds, he will conceal them as red frogs, which will start running around the room. To resolve, keep in mind which ones were the small fires, as the frogs will explode in round AoEs after a while, and the safe spot is located at the edge in between both small fires. While running to that safe spot, the new gunner mechanic will start. Every player will have a visual marker around them. This marker is a circle at your feet with an open 90-degree section, much like the Mustadeo boss in the Ridorana Lighthouse Alliance raids. Rows of alternating turrets will spawn east and west from north to south. One east, one west, one east, one west, etc. The gunner will then cast a room-wide attack, and then the turrets will fire in front of them. To resolve, first aim your open spot towards the gunner, hopefully should be in the center of the room, while waiting for that damage to happen, locate which turret is facing you. After the gunner does his attack, aim your open spot towards one such turret. Mechanic resolved. Then, new mechanic from the gunner again. Turret adds. Two targetable turrets will spawn close to the bosses. Those need to be killed as soon as possible. They will first cast a tank buster called Sniper Shot. For this, we'll have each current tank for each boss provoke and hold aggro on the nearest turret, and use their invulnerability on that cast. Everyone should swap target from the boss to the nearest turret and kill it as fast as possible, as the next cast is an enrage. A fire don't move or an ice don't stop moving later, and we're back for the second round of combos. This one is a repeat of the first one, but this time the clones are not frogs, but the actual normal mode clones, and the gunner part is the same, just a little sped up. Next one has no ads and is instead the normal mode reflecting turrets on intercardinals, followed by ice or fire once more, and it's enrage. You will then enter phase 3. In this phase, all 4 bosses come back on intercardinal points of the room and start casting a final enrage each, just like normal mode. The twist this time comes in the form of 28 orbs spread across the room in 2 waves of 14 each. Those orbs need to be swiftly destroyed, or they will damage the whole raid group and inflict a heavy damage down debuff, hampering our ability to actually kill the guards. In each wave of 14, 12 of those we will call healer orbs, denoted by green circles in the diagram I should have posted, but they are white in game. I'll get back to those in a minute. The remaining 2 are to be handled by the rest of the raid and appear directly north and south of the arena. We'll assign all tanks and damage dealers from A, B, and C parties to the ones spawning north, and parties D, E, and F to the ones spawning south. Everyone will just need to kill it as soon as possible, except for the 2 tanks assigned to said orbs, who will have the special task of turning on their tank stance, provoking the orb, and maintaining aggro until it dies, and then using their invuln when a marker appears over their heads, as this is a tank buster that targets upon the orb's death and resolve few seconds afterwards. Hence why we assign in total 4 tanks to rotate through invulns. Back to the healer orbs. Those will, twice in their lifespan, cast a circle AoE around themselves. This AoE needs to be soaked and reflected back to them to kill the orbs, and is lethal to anyone not invulnerable. If an orb manages to cast 2 without dying, it explodes, dealing moderate raid-wide damage and applying a damage down to everyone. So those orbs very much are the focus of the third phase. To handle this, every healer should take a look at the diagram of the phase and look at their assigned position in the arena. Those denote the exact spawning point of the healer orbs, and you should start spamming Lost Reflect All like curtains right away, as the tail for those AoEs, coupled with the delay on Reflect, can make it very easy to miss the timing and straight up die to the AoE. Again, they will repeat the cast once after the first, so don't be afraid to move out of it if you think you missed the timing. But you only get 1 retry, so every healer should pay attention to orbs in their vicinity, as people who succeeded in killing theirs on the first wave can assist with another one that could have been missed. There's enough time to move from one to another and catch the latter's second cast. Some 10 seconds after all orbs have died or exploded, if some were missed, the second wave happens and everyone needs to get back into position for a repeat. Don't forget to hit the bosses in between the waves or when you're done with your orb, and after dealing with the second wave. This now becomes a DPS check, and hopefully you can all clear it. Reminder that all tank stances should be down except for the 2 main tanks. Check if your food buff ran out, and make sure you have the appropriate last actions. Good luck to you all, and this is it for me, taking in the